Jesus. There's power in the name of.
You know, you have to recognize how useful worship is as a weapon. We think about worship only as an activity, as something that we do as part of service, or something that we do in trying to fulfill our obligation to God. But worship is a useful weapon against the enemy. That's why he don't want you to worship. That's why he wants you to focus on your problems and the issues and forget about him. Understand, relevance will determine our confidence when using something. If you figure something is relevant to your cause, you will utilize it. But when you don't even think about it being relevant, you won't use it. And that is why when most of us get into problems, we don't worship, because we don't think it's relevant. Let me tell you a short story. I hope it's short, y'all. Back in the late 70s, my sister wanted to move down to Florida, leaving New York, moving down to Florida. She had 4 children, had a husband, and me, and all her belongings in a Chevy Nova. It was so cramped in that spot, and we were supposed to take turns driving until the only space that I had some room to breathe was in the driver's seat. So I said, no, I'll drive. So I drove from here to Florida. Now, I could tell you the route. It's easy to get there, y'all. Just take the Bell Parkway to the Verrazano Bridge, go over into New Jersey, take I-95 south, and just when you get to Jacksonville, switch to Florida State 17, take you right to my grandma's home. Right? I could just write down on a short piece of paper, and you have all the. Now it's 1,000 miles away, y'all. But so on this occasion, I made a deal with her. I said, I will drive you down there, but when we get down there, I want to go to Miami. See, Florida is where I was born. A lot of my family was in Florida. My cousin, my best cousin, my closest cousin was in Florida. And so I know when I got down there, got hooked up with him, we were going to do some stuff because now I got to ride. So she said, yes, you could do it, but you got to take my husband with you. Now, here's the thing. My brother-in-law, he had been employed at IBM at that time. And at that time, IBM was one of the top companies in the world. It was one of the top Fortune 500 companies in the world. If you got hired at IBM, you worked there until you retired. There was no layoffs. There was no firings at IBM unless you did something crazy. He did something crazy. He smoked reefer. But not only that he smoked reefer, weed to some of us, marijuana to others, pot to some of y'all. It was laced with PCP. And back during that time in the late 70s, that was to make it more potent, but it had a detrimental effect mentally. And so in essence, he was gone. Physically, he was there, but gone mentally. So we're driving down there, and he's not talking much, in a car full of kids and myself and my sister and all of their belongings. And we finally get to Florida, and he don't talk much on the route down there. So on that Saturday that we got there before Saturday, on that Saturday, got my cousin. Now I was about maybe 20 years old at the time. Got my cousin. He was about 17, 18. And I'm driving. We're going from my hometown to Miami. That is over 300 miles away. Just going to spend the day. He had a girlfriend down there. So I'm driving down. We're going to go to visit his girlfriend a little bit. Then going to go to Miami, what's that? South Beach and all that kind of stuff. Me, him, and my brother-in-law. So we take I-95, and it takes us down to Miami. We just have a great time all day long. And my brother-in-law's in the back seat, and he's just as quiet as a mouse. I guess he's just glad for the ride. We get down there, go to his girlfriend's house, and then we ride around Miami a little bit and all that kind of stuff. And then the night is approaching. We got to get back because I didn't tell my grandmother that I was going down to Miami. What we did is we got up real early, and we pushed the car out the driveway. Pushed the car out the driveway, got on the street, and then turned it on. And then, but I'm going to have to apologize to my son and my daughter because I did some crazy things when I was young, y'all. And there's some things that there's some things that they did not get away with. So I got to apologize to them because when I'm going through this and processing some of the things that I did, but what happened is, it's getting dark. We're on our way back. But I got to make a choice. I-95 will get us back, and there's no tolls. But then there's the option to take the Florida Turnpike. I had never been on the Florida Turnpike, but it was a shorter route to get us back. The problem was I had no money, and my cousin had no money, and I got to make a choice between the Florida Turnpike. I could get on Florida I-95, but I don't know where it's going to run out of gas at. And did not have no money to put gas in. I could take the Florida Turnpike, get there, but it's a toll that I was unaware of. And so I'm looking at the toll gate at the toll plaza for the Florida Turnpike, and I'm talking to my cousin. I said, I ain't got no money for this. And we ain't got enough gas to go to I-95. And he said, well, I ain't got no money either. Out of the back seat, my brother-in-law said, I got some money. He became my favorite brother-in-law on that day. And we was able to use that. Now, in essence, the moral of the story is he was relevant at that time. I had ignored him all the way down to Florida. Ignored him all the way down to Miami. But now I'm in a jam. I'm in a pickle. And he's the only one that got the money. He became relevant because I was in a situation. Now, here's the deal. Most of us have the Lord on board, but he's irrelevant to us right now. We're not giving him attention. We're not acknowledging how important he is. But then a problem will arise when you realize he's relevant. Hopefully you realize he's relevant. But I would just like to dare say, make worship of God relevant in your life. For worship to be relevant, it must be established or settled in your heart and your mind. You cannot be flighty about it. You cannot be iffy about it. No, you must have arrived at a place where you realize worship is my only option in this situation. It's got to be relevant because money cannot do what I need done. My personality can accomplish what I need done. My talent, my education, none of those things are able to address what is going on in my life. So therefore, my last option is I need to worship God. And some of us are in that situation right now. If you're not in that situation right now, it's going to come if you live long enough. Where you realize, something, I got to get before God. I got to recognize that he's the one that got the answer to this problem, this situation. See, worship, to be relevant, it must be properly implemented.